about happiness, and I think it's a great topic because it's the sort of thing we're all striving to have more of. So, The Art of Making Memories is the book, and I want to know what inspired you to write this, first of all.
Well, I mean, my career is dedicated to understanding why are some people happier than others and how can we improve quality of life. Okay. And I can see happy memories are part of the answer to both questions. And I think we're all interested in creating an unforgettable life. I think we're all interested in creating memorable moments for our friends and family. I think we're all interested in having our kids look back at their childhood and think of happy times. So I think, it's tremendously important for us. And I've just become in awe of how amazing our memory are and how it impacts our well-being.
So what is the influence of memories on happiness?
Well, we can see if you are able to retrieve happy memories and if you're able to form a positive narrative about your life, you're also happier overall.
Okay.
And I think for me, the best moment in writing the book was understanding suddenly that there's actually something I can do to influence what I and my family and my friends remember. I think earlier I thought of memory as something random, something I could not control. Yeah. But now I see myself as a memory architect and feel quite empowered that I can create moments that my friends and loved ones will remember in the future.
How do you do that?
Well,
so what are you, like, are you just trying to tap in more when something is good in the moment so that you can call it up later on?
You can do that. So that's one of the strategies. And recently I spoke to a woman she read the book and she was reminded of a time when she was 8. Yeah. And she was having dinner with her mom and her sister and they're having fun, they're laughing, they're feeling happy. And then at one point her mother says to her, "I hope you remember this moment." And here we are, 30 years later, she still remembers that moment because her mother made her pay attention to it. So calling it out, using it every once in a while. Because if every time you sit down with your kids say, "I hope you remember this moment," they're going to tell you to shut up.
Can't do it, yeah.
But, so that's one strategy. Another strategy is to harness the power of firsts.
Okay.
So I'm sure a lot of us have the experience that life seems to speed up as we get older.
Yeah.
The years just go by quicker and quicker. And one of the reasons for that is that in our teenage years, in our 20s, we have a lot of first experiences. So first job, first kiss, first apartment. Yeah. Whereas at my age, 41, first experiences are rarer.
Right.
So we remember new stuff. We remember new experiences. So seeking out new, novel, extraordinary experiences is one of the ways we can make memories.
Okay.
And that can be in using all the 5 different senses. So, of course, going to a new place can be a new experience, but it can also be trying out a new dish. So this week, I'm going to try poutine, which I've never tried before.
Come on.
Well, that's going to be...
Someone get the man some poutine immediately. You're never going to forget it.
Right, exactly. So using the 5 different senses and building in different senses in our memory. So one thing, for example, Andy Warhol did was he would wear a perfume for 3 months and then never wear that perfume again and switch to another one for 3 months.
Okay.
And that meant over time he created a museum of memories.
Yeah.
So he could say, now I want to go back to the spring of 1982 and then be transported back in time and re-experience that. And we can use all the 5 different senses that way. So just a minute ago we were listening to Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. And my family and I, when I was a kid, we would drive across Europe for vacation down south in Yugoslavia at the time. And we had one tape in the car, Whitney Houston, and she wanted to dance with somebody across Europe. So that song just takes me back to that time. So using the 5 different senses.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so can you call up for me a happy memory, something that you hang on to, that you maybe come to again and again?
Yeah. So also when I was writing the book, I was trying to consider how can I be better at holding on and retrieving happy memories that I experience.
Yeah.
And one day I was, this was summer a couple of years ago, I was spearfishing in Denmark and I'd caught a couple of fish and I was sitting on top of a warm rock after being in the cold ocean.
Yeah.
This was Denmark, so summertime, it's cold.
Yeah.
But I was just feeling really happy about catching these fish and being connected with nature, sort of really at peace and happy. And I thought, what can I do to hold on to this moment? And next to me was some dried seaweed that sort of smelled like the ocean, smells of salt, smells of fresh air and sort of the air at the ocean. And I
Yeah.
took a good whiff of that.
Yes.
So now that scent of the ocean is connected with that emotion. But of course, I was also paying attention to that moment.
Okay.
But you have to understand that our memory works through association. So building in triggers that will help you associate stuff with the moment you want to re-experience. So another thing I've done is trying to surround myself with stuff that reminds me of happy memories.
That's good.
And a couple of years ago, I published my first book, which was called the Little Book of Hygge. And that was a big moment for me because I always wanted to be a writer, so publishing my first book was a special moment. And I had saved some money to buy a chair I really wanted. But I waited with getting that chair until I had published that book, because now that chair is a
Special.
manifestation of that sense of accomplishment it was to publish my
So
book.
good.
So being a little bit of an arch enemy to Marie Kondo, building in memories into your stuff. But the book is also about how we can retrieve happy memories.
I just want to, before we wrap, I want to talk about what the digital age might be doing to our
Right.
memories. Because I feel like there are so many things coming into our brain now that it's more difficult to hang on to a moment. So do you agree with that? And is there something that we should be doing to make sure that we are still able to grab onto these good moments?
Right. So I think it's a tool that can be used for good and bad. Obviously,
Okay.
there is a risk of undermining our attention, but in the book I also talk about how we can use it to our advantage. So
Okay.
one of the suggestions in the book is curating the happy 100. So I'm sure you have a lot of photos on your phone, perhaps
Yes.
thousands and thousands
I don't
of
even want
phones.
to tell you how many.
Right. But back in the 80s, when I was growing up, we used to have an old school photo album, and you used to
Yes.
sit and look at that together as a family. So my suggestion is once a year, could be between Christmas and New Year's, sit down with your family and decide which were actually our 100 happiest moments, and get those photos
In a
printed
book.
out and put it in an old school photo album. And it's a
That's a good
great
idea.
exercise to do with kids, because it gives you an insight in what did they actually think were our happiest times in the past year.
And no one likes a photo album like kids. Oh my gosh, the 3 photo albums we have in our house, even our wedding album, they're flipping through it constantly. So it is a lovely thing to do to hold on to a moment.